Welcome to Chhota Hafta. Now, Chhota Hafta is but a small, chhota version of a complete weekly podcast, Newslaundry Hafta. The Newslaundry Hafta is where you get the week's news, what made the headlines, what didn't make the headlines, but the full version is available to subscribers only. And I don't mean YouTube subscribers, although YouTube subscribers are also very welcome, very, very grateful to you, but also to Newslaundry subscribers, the paying subscribers who pay to keep news free. So you can also become a paying subscriber by clicking the subscription link. Now what do you get if you're a paying subscriber? You get access to all our paywall content, all interviews, podcasts, and importantly, you get access to a full unedited Hafta, where you not only get to hear the week's news, but you get to hear the Newslaundry editors' positions on matters. You get to see their biases, what are their prejudices. It's an exercise in transparency while also informing you, and we have a few quips and jokes and agreements and disagreements thrown in. So listen to the full Hafta, subscribe to Newslaundry, and pay to keep news free. Here we go. अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of News Laundry Hafta. We're recording this at 3:44 in the afternoon on the 6th of July, which is a Thursday. Monsoon has hit Delhi and I think Bombay at the same time ever. That's what the newspaper said.
One nation, one monsoon.
One nation, one monsoon. How nice. So the weather is unusually good for this time of the year in Delhi. It has been an extremely mild summer.
I think we can now safely say we've had the best summer ever.
Yeah,
with
for
no
sure.
heat wave and frequent rains.
Yeah. And what do you call the April was like a hill station. So best summer ever. So next year, clearly, we're going to get all the bhadas is going to come out. But funnily enough, it is in the same week that the earth recorded its hottest day. And then, which was Monday, this last Monday. And then apparently Wednesday outdid that Monday. So we've had, so the average temperature all across is the hottest. So that is alarming according to many scientists. And we will be doing a lot more. In fact, climate pieces, we got one from one of our wonderful subscribers who has sent us a mail, which I saw to Raman sir. And
we are also going to do one NL Sena story.
On the climate.
About 18,000 hectares of forest land was given for mining in the past 5 years. So we are just identifying who got.
That will be interesting. We have a very special guest joining us from Maharashtra because Maharashtra has been the most important headline in the last 2-3 days. So we get someone who really knows Maharashtra politics like the back of his hand, who I shall introduce. But once Manisha has given us the headlines.
So, lots of political action happening in Maharashtra. On Sunday, Ajit Pawar joined the Eknath Shinde BJP camp. Ajit Pawar, as you know, is MLA from Baramati and nephew of Sharad Pawar. He took oath as Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra and he'll share the post with BJP leader Devendra Fadnavis. Then there was a show of strength yesterday, which is Wednesday, between the Chacha and the Bhatija. And it seems the first round has gone to Ajit Pawar, who managed to have 29 NCP MLAs in attendance, while Senior Pawar only had 17. We have 3 ground reports on this on Newslaundry, so you can check that out from Prateek. The Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved the Data Protection Bill. It will be introduced in the monsoon session, which will begin on July 20th and conclude on August 11th.
One never knows whether one should be happy about reading this headline or not, because you never know what the government may think is data protection.
Also fairly short monsoon session, no? July 20th to August 11th.
In data protection, they can accuse everybody, but if it comes to the government, any instrumentality of the government, they are beyond it. So if the government, any part of the government, any arm of the government violates your data protection, you cannot question them.
Then फायदा क्या हुआ?
Income Tax Department has cancelled the tax exemption status of the Center for Policy Research think tank on June 30th.
And this follows earlier the FCRA was cancelled. And in fact, Harsh Mandar's NGO's FCRA was cancelled for the most bizarre reason that you cannot be doing journalism if you're getting FCRA, something like that, because he writes opinion pieces once in a while. So on that one ground, they cancelled his FCRA. It is.
Has he gone to the court?
I am not sure whether he's gone to court, but that's
but CPR was very, very important organization.
Sure, yeah.
In fact, so many important people were associated with it.
And
Very
over
sad.
time, a lot of policy papers have come out of there. They have actually been at the center of lots of conversations and
Yes.
debates, which have been productive and constructive. I remember they were, during Manmohan's time, there were some very interesting pieces that used to come from fellows of CPR about liberalization versus, too much of kya kehte hain, privatization. But yeah,
They were very
unfortunate.
critical of the Congress. Very,
Now
very
the
critical.
only think tanks will be Vivekanand Foundation. I know Open India may come up with a think tank. They'll be doing research on how Gomutra helps you.
And many more are going to come under
that,
Kartavya during the Kartavya.
yeah, basically, they figured that, look, you put the financial muscle behind, and it's unfortunate they don't have any, like Vivek Agnihotri is the biggest gift to cinema. So you just push that narrative, and think tanks, agar bana bhi de, if they give someone think, here's 100 crore. How many thinkers will you have in that tank? I mean, the best you'll get is Anand Ranganathan. That is their top. Like, who was on JSI Deepak, who I saw him arguing. He's like Sohail Seth. He constructs a sentence which is banal, but he like makes it sound like it's a really thought through, unique perspective. But yeah, unfortunate.
The Madhya Pradesh police on Wednesday arrested Pravesh Shukla, man who was seen urinating on an Adivasi man in a viral video. This incident provoked massive outrage in the state. It received special attention today from Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who washed the feet of the victim, apologized to him, called him his friend. Meanwhile, the Sidhi administration, where this incident is supposed to have happened, went ahead and demolished a part of the home of the accused.
So we'll discuss in a little more detail about do optics like this matter or not. I think that'll be an interesting conversation.
In Manipur updates, a 27-year-old man was killed on Tuesday when security forces opened fire on a mob that was trying to loot weapons from a police camp in Manipur's Thoubal district. Just today, news came in that a woman was shot dead outside a school in Imphal. The school had reopened after 2 months. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court on Monday directed Manipur government to submit updated status report on the ethnic clashes in the state. So there's no sign of this.
It's
I
just
just
not
can't
letting
imagine
up.
what
Yeah,
it must be like there for a woman to be shot dead in front of a school.
And it's just not letting up. I just can't imagine what must be like living there right now.
And 2
But
months
today was
now,
second day of
life
the
has
school.
come to a standstill there. For
Yeah.
kids, can't go to school, you can't go about your work. The Indian consulate in San Francisco was vandalized and set on fire reportedly by Khalistani supporters. The US State Department on Tuesday termed it a criminal offense. A bunch of people put the video up with words like violence begets violence, and it was supposed to be in response to the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who's a Canada-based member of Khalistan Tiger Force. Amrit Kal has been named as Kartavya Kal. This is my favorite headline of the week. So from 2023 to 2047 we turn 100. And the time from now to 2047 will be Kartavya Kal, the era of duty. This is what the Prime Minister has said.
Okay, before we move on to the rest of the headlines, why do you think he's renamed Amrit Kal Kartavya Kal?
सवाल मत पूछो, अब अपना ड्यूटी करो.
Kartavya Kal, if I know, and the amount of time that I've spent with RSS, the Shakha that we used to go for, I think, 7-8 years. So there, the Kartavya is the main thing that they teach all the time. So Kartavya,
देश के प्रति
Desh Prem, that is it. And when it comes to Desh Prem, as Manisha says, koi sawal mat pucho, kuch na pucho. Now under Kartavya Kal, they are going to come up. It looks like a joke. It looks like a joke right now, but you will see the real change. The kind of if this government continues in 2024, you will see many changes.
Why do you think it's Amrit Kal is in general Kartavya Kal? What is your speculation on?
See, since it's a kind of a spectacle spread over a year, you need to have episodic changes to it. So it is this, you see, like like Nehru centenary year or Gandhi centenary year in 1969 had different kind of events. Of course, the public sphere was a very different thing then. Now the question of duty, I see during emergency in 1976 through the 42nd Amendment, the Article 51 was inserted, fundamental duties in Indian Constitution, fundamental duties, and they are now 11. Originally it was 10.
10. When I studied civics, it was 10.
10 now 11th was by the Vajpayee government. It is when the right to education was there, that the parents have duty to send their
I
ward.
see, okay.
So interesting thing was that in King's College London there was a discussion going on 2-3 years back. There is a video of it, and Swapna Das Gupta and Sunil Khilani, who wrote Idea of India, that book. So he's an academic, Sunil Khilani. So the audience asked about, this is this is a basic thing that want public intellectuals to know. So somebody asked that, what do you think about the idea of fundamental duties in Constitution? And both were unaware of it. It is so much subterranean in public discourse, the idea of fundamental duties, is that both know, we don't have any idea. Is there any provision like that in Indian Constitution?
And this was part of civics book, yeah?
Yes, and
It was.
maybe it was their age, it skipped their mind. That
Maybe.
it was,
Or maybe it wasn't part of their syllabus at that time.
No, also it is a sign of that how little was discussed about it. If it was in the public space, space and regular discussion, sometimes it's drilled into your mind.
However, I find the whole concept of duties is a very, North Korean kind of. See, the top of mind for a democracy is your right to freedom. You're basically, liberty, freedom is the topmost thing. And I think this whole rebranding of Kartavya Kal is knowing that I can't deliver shit. That was, mere to ho gayi, teh. Neither on jobs, neither on any exports, nothing. So now, lower expectations, and not just lower expectations, say that you owe me, man. I don't owe you. You owe me your Kartavya, because he's nation. Nation is Modi.
Yes.
A bit like JF Kennedy's thing also, though, no? Like, ask what you can. Don't ask what the country can do for you. Ask what you can do for the country. So kind of that.
That was
And it's not that I can't pay. They are under this belief that they have done enough.
No,
They have
I
given
think
enough.
they know they haven't got jack.
They have
That's
given
why the
enough.
best they're doing is, after renaming Aurangzeb Road, then last month they replaced Aurangzeb Lane. Because whenever I used to pass that, I used to say, road to rename kar di, Abdul Kalam. The lane there is still called Aurangzeb Lane. So then just last week, I saw in the paper, they've renamed Aurangzeb Lane. I was like, wow. Now there must be some other gully that they have to rename. Anyway, so we'll carry on with the headlines.
Around 160 people were arrested overnight in connection with riots that have rocked cities across France. This is following the killing of a teenager of North African descent by a police officer. France is burning, and surprisingly, there's a lot of Hindutvawadis who are very excited about this news.
Yeah. And all sorts of videos are being shared from 10 years ago, saying that, oh, this is happening now.
Indian refiners have begun paying for some oil imports from Russia in Chinese yuan. As we know, Western sanctions have forced Moscow and its customers to find alternatives to the dollar for settling payments. And there was a lot of chatter that rupee will replace dollar, but it seems like yuan is benefiting the most from this.
Yeah, so basically...
Indian Oil Corp is one of the companies that have paid in
we discussed this on Hafta only a few years ago. It's a very complicated geopolitical kind of roadmap. Like China, adversary to us. We don't want to side with America because that's our favorite whipping boy, whether it is our channel anchors, Arnab Goswami, or Jai Shankar when he wants to sound smart. It sounds peevish most of the time. But what do we end up doing? We are strengthening the economy of that one person who's sitting on our land. So, I think you need different level of foreign policy expertise to pull this off. I'm not sure whether they have that.
It's complicated now. India clinched the SAF Championships title for the 9th time after beating Kuwait 5-4 in a tense penalty shootout after both sides were deadlocked 1-1 in 120 minutes in the summit clash on Tuesday.
So I watched the highlights on YouTube. I'm thrilled that Indian football is doing so much better. We're still very far away from winning the World Cup or anything. But the fact that we are beating teams that ordinarily we would not have beaten. And B, the stadiums are full and the josh is wow. The crowd was cheering and cheering. I was just very, very thrilled. I think football is now going to hopefully knock out cricket of India. It will be the best thing.
And Sekhri was as serious as...
Yeah. He's pretty old, right? He must be close to 40
He's pretty old, but very, very Nice.
Yeah, he was very moved. Right? He was very... and that American coach of ours, no? He's American, no? Who's been asked not to attend the... Because he keeps getting red cards and starts shouting and fighting with everyone. So, on that note, I would like to remind everyone, please subscribe to Newslaundry and pay to keep news free. Why? Because June was one of our worst months in the last 2 years. So, I don't know whether our subscribers are partying and at holiday, are not renewing it, or the recession has hit you. But 300 rupees a month isn't that much. Please encourage your friends, family, whoever you can to subscribe and pay to keep news free. Because while there is so much of advertising money that is going to legacy media, most of it from the government. In fact, the Supreme Court, I think very wisely, told the AAP government when they said that we don't have the money to roll out that rapid train, rapid train railway, RTR something system. They said, well, you have so much of money to advertise, you don't have money to roll this out. So tell us how much have you spent in advertising last 2 years. I really wish this kind of pressure is built, because then it will be built across everybody.
Right.
And right now, like, I mean, he put on Twitter, Saket is his name, right? Saket Gokhale from TMC, that he had put an RTI asking that which channel got how much money. And the response he got was that we cannot give you that because that would upset the private party's competitive edge in the market. We can just tell you overall how much money we gave to advertising from news channel.
He asked center or he asked up?
No. This was in the center. In the center. So he got the amount of money that they paid for advertising. But which channel got how much, they did not. They denied him that information.
No,
so
I think we have.
We've got it. It was denied to him. I think he asked for this last financial year. So, So since we do not even get 1 rupee of that, and if you'd like us to stay that way, which is why we can say what we want, please do consider convincing your friends, your family, whoever you can, to subscribe and pay to keep news free. It will be a good deed of the day, and it will strengthen journalism, which seems to be dying. Now let me introduce the guests. Joining me in the studio, as you may have already guessed, is Raman Kirpal.
Hi.
Anand Vardhan.
Hello.
Who has now finished his first year of law.
First semester. No, I'm in second semester.
Your result has come?
No, it has not.
Can we call you BB? Barrister Babu?
No.
Huh?
It will take some years in making.
Okay, fine. I'll wait for you. I'll call you BB in the
6
making.
6 semesters or 8 semesters?
6 semesters.
6 semesters.
Then you can fight all our cases.
Yes.
Oh, too good.
After that I need to clear one bar Association of India exam. After that I can appear in any court.
So Newslaundry will have.
Then you can appear on our behalf in all the courts. Anand will not only be our ace commentator, he'll be our ace lawyer also.
Then he can become judge also.
Judge, then we'll lose him. What's the point?
He can be a favorable judge. Be corrupt.
And joining us with all sorts of terrible advice is Manisha.
Hi.
Please, children, if you're listening, do not listen to Manisha, Didi. All these kind of corrupt thoughts. We must do what is right, as Modi said, Kartavya. Kartavya Path is what we must up now. Also joining us on the phone line from Maharashtra is Girish Kuber. You're joining us from Bombay, Girish, or are you elsewhere in Maharashtra?
Yeah, I'm in Mumbai, yeah.
So Girish Kuber is an author and the editor of the Marathi daily Loksatta, which is a part of the Indian Express group. He has authored the books The Tatas, How a Family Built a Business and a Nation, and Maharashtra, The Making of a Renaissance State. Apart from these, Girish has also written 6 books in Marathi. Recent piece by Girish is BJP's strategy is Pawar versus Pawar, which appeared in the Indian Express on the 4th of July. So you can read it. The link is in the show notes below. Thank you for joining us, Girish. You've been covering Maharashtra for how long now? How many years have you been there?
Yeah, I'm in this profession since 84, 85.
And you've been in Maharashtra throughout, or you also were outside?
I was in Goa for a while, in Maharashtra, abroad for a while. So it's more or less at least 25, 30 years in Maharashtra.
Right. Now, earlier when the whole nephew versus uncle Pawar versus Pawar thing happened, there was much speculation that this was rehearsed and that's how he kind of led, BJP up the garden path and then flipped around, and it was part of a very well orchestrated conspiracy. Then, of course, when the Shiv Sena broke, we had actually someone speculating from Maharashtra reporter that Uddhav Thackeray has actually put Shinde up to this, and last minute Shinde will do a Pawar So clearly Maharashtra politics is full of intrigue and second guessing. What do you make of this? And also, why is Ajit Pawar always look so unhappy?
Menacing.
His permanent expression.
Yeah, he's like angry young man of the NCP, we can say that. But the first part, actually, it's too much of these kind of statements that it was orchestrated and this and that, and then Ajit Pawar, or Eknath Shinde has been sent by Uddhav and all that. It's very lazy analysis. Or it's not even analysis. It's like cooking our own stories. And there are so many media organizations and social media things. They just explode their own stories, and they have their own followers, and they start believing that. Actually, it's illogical also. Had Mr. Pawar been interested in really the way some people are saying, I mean, he's whole and soul of the party. He would have officially himself taken NCP to the BJP. So there is no point in having that. Even till yesterday, many were saying that Ajit has been sent by Mr. Pawar to BJP, and
it couldn't happen without his
it's not even funny. Actually, it's so illogical. Politics at times is irrational, but it's not illogical. So there is no iota of even basic logic. Why he would do that? I mean, if that is the question. There is no answer to it. If he wanted to go along with the BJP, he himself officially would have taken it. See, if we look at Maharashtra's actual number-based data and the history, no single party can win Maharashtra on its own. Even Sharad Pawar, at the peak of his political career, or for that matter, even Balasaheb Thackeray, when he was at its peak, they couldn't get more than 70-80 MLAs out of 288. So it's out of question, Ajit Pawar, whether he can do it or not, because there are lots of reasons. The way state is divided, socio-political issues and kind of stuff, So there is no question of that. But as of now, there are more MLAs behind Ajit Pawar, because most of them were keen on having some kind of an alliance or understanding with the BJP. And obvious reason is half a dozen of them, at least, are having serious cases going on against them. So they think there is an interesting kind of an anecdote. One of the Congress stalwart, NCP stalwart, multi-party character, he joined the BJP. And when media asked him, why did you join? Harshavardhan from Pune district. His answer was a classical, honest answer. It can't be more honest than that. He said, now I can have a good, decent night's sleep. There won't be midnight knock from the central agencies. So there can't be anything honest than that, And most of those who are with Ajit Pawar, say Praful Patel, he's having issues with Indian Airlines, Air India merger. He's been investigated. His house is sealed. Or Chhagan Bhujbal, for that matter, or Sunil Tatkare. You name them, and they are having serious cases.
Praful Patel, I remember during the IPL days, he was flying quite high. He was civil aviation minister, right? And I remember, I think this had come in, I think the Indian Express has only broken the story, correct me if I'm wrong, Girish, where he had, a flight had been chartered for his daughter and her friend.
It was not chartered. Mid-air, it was turned, the direction was changed to pick up his daughter somewhere on the way.
Yeah, and for some IPL thing like that. It was like his personal plane, man. You just go there, pick up my daughter. It was like bizarre. But
the ED case against him was to hand out profitable routes to foreign airlines. That's what he was
and of course, what he did with the Football Federation is. And
of course, Samit Patra gave that famous conference for that he has links to Dawood Ibrahim and D Company and some.
That is a little far-fetched. Yeah. Anybody from the NCP side, BJP can accuse them of having links with Dawood. And
not anymore.
That is too much of a...
Even the roots thingy wasn't, a major accusation, because at that time I remember when he was the civil aviation minister, they wanted to do away with Air India. So that is why, and they wanted to encourage the private airlines. So that is why
they gave some foreign routes to them.
That's why.
So let me come to Anand. Anand, before we come back to Girish, and I want to come back to Girish on the Shiv Sena side, how Shinde is reacting to it. who always seems very confused about what he's doing whenever he's sitting at a table. What do you make of this? And is it now clear that the voter really doesn't care?
If you look at the last part of it, as some analysts have pointed out, that it says that any decision on merger or dissolution of the party has to be approved by a national committee, and the national committee is a larger body of party office holders, which needs the quorum for which is 75% attendance and 90% of the attending members approving of either dissolution or merger. Now, this is again a tricky question for either of the factions.
So that's a really high bar to actually any of them to claim official
and the important thing is that the Supreme Court also mentioned that the party constitution has to be taken into account in the the Shiv Sena judgment. So this is the immediate precedent of the top judiciary on defections.
Right. So, Manisha, you want to weigh in on this before we go back to Girish, because we have him for another 10 minutes.
Actually, I wanted to ask Girish this question only. If he can give us some political gossip on. So, to me, I think one of the most interesting revelations by Ajit Pawar were, and now, of course, he's making accusations, so I don't know how much of that is true, but him saying that we've met with the BJP multiple times, including most recently in 2019 at the house of an industrialist 5 times.
Yeah.
And we were going to. So, who is this industrialist? Because the last time an industrialist was in news along with NCP was Adani, where Sharad Pawar basically said that
We can safely
in the whole
assume.
Hindenburg saga,
We can safely assume it's the same.
I thought that was very interesting. But why have the talks broken off if they've been meeting so often?
No, see, one of the reason that thing we had reported, Ajit Pawar obviously was interested in joining BJP. Sharad Pawar was taken into confidence, and they were told whatever the government formation will be and kind of stuff. What Ajit Pawar said, it's partly true. But what he didn't say was that the last moment, the BJP leadership, according to those reports, Shiv Sena was brought in by the BJP leadership. So it would have been a very kind of a three-party government which will have NCP, BJP and Shiv Sena. And Pawar's version, that is Senior Pawar's version, is that he was kept in the dark about Shiv Sena likely inclusion into that. So these are all stories, but I mean, how much to believe and how much not is obviously in question.
Does Eknath Shinde also have a chance to get any seats, or will he be a spent force once elections come?
It's like any other medicine, it is used by date. That is over for Eknath Shinde, that's for sure.
But I would just like to ask, because I mean, there's an observation that was made of him, and I never really thought of Lalu in that light. Because right now he said, "Ukhad ke phek denge." Like, he's really taking a belligerent tone. And I know for people who've lived in Bihar through Lalu's years, have a huge, problem with the kind of governance or misgovernance he gave. But I mean, I don't know, maybe we should get a journalist who has covered Bihar over years to tell us this. Lalu has been uncompromising on ever aligning with the BJP. Like his ideological position, like Rahul's, that we will not shake hands with a Hindu right. So Lalu's like, you send me to jail, you do what you want, but I am not going to shake hands with you. What is your sense, Anand? Does it come from a position of ideologically he is that set that I will not go with the Hindu right, like like Communist Party probably would be? Or is it, if opportunity came, he would also ally with them? Because so far he has never once in his entire political career made even a slightly conciliatory. I was seeing some of his old speeches in the parliament, even during Atalji's time. And I must say, I felt bad for Atalji, because now Atalji comes across, you look back at him with something, he was a decent man. And Lalu was quite mean sometimes in his speeches in parliament to Atal.
Like which one? What
Just the way the tone he'd take, he'd make a laugh. Bolte rehte hain. Matlab, he would like mock that you make these grand pronouncements, but look at what your party does, etc. So what do you make of it, Anand? How come he never shakes hands with them?
That two things later, what you say is later correct. after these two things. Initial phase, you can say. That is two things perhaps.
And also, was that a different Jansangh than this? Was the complexion, the nature of it different from what it is now?
Yes, but in 1990, the Mandir movement had gathered enough momentum.
He's the one who arrested arrested Advani. Right? He's the one who brought the Rath Yatra to an end.
Yes.
No one had the guts to stop the Rath.
That
he
was
said, you enter Bihar and I'll arrest you. And
yes,
he had the guts to do it.
And that was done at Samastipur, and at that time the district magistrate of Samastipur was Mr. R.K. Singh, the IS officer who is now the minister in Modi government.
In the cabinet.
So yes, because after by that time he had managed numbers for survival of his government, and that also contributed. First thing was electoral calculus. He depended on the famed MY combination, so he couldn't be siding with BJP for long or taking support because of the social arithmetic of Muslim Yadav combination in Bihar, the famous MY electoral base. He could not be seen. He in fact went to extremes of having Osama bin Laden look alike to his election rallies.
I remember that.
So
this was in the mid 2000s, right?
Yes.
I remember because we had done something like this on the Gustakhi Maaf. We did a little spoof on this.
Yes.
With Lalu taking Osama along, because we had an Osama puppet and we had a Lalu puppet.
Yes. So that was also in 2000 he had taken support of Congress for the whole 90s. The Congress he feared as with some chance of revival in Bihar, but the space vacated by Congress was taken by BJP. So then BJP was his prime adversary in Bihar.
So it's always been
so the space vacated by Congress was taken by BJP, and there he cannot make he was on a point of no return in his confrontation with BJP then.
But I do think that he does come across as heroic now because he's so old and withered, and at a time where no one has the guts other than Rahul. Even within the Congress, no one has the guts to go at BJP the way he does. I mean, an outright threat that, Modi, when you are in opposition, you watch what we do to you. Like, no leader will have the guts to say this. I mean, I've spoken to a prominent member of parliament who usually garjos on everyone else and everything else. And ostensibly, he is anti-BJP. But they tell you, they said, dude, in parliament, we don't have the guts to say anything to Mr. Modi. Or kisi ko bol do. So, Lalu comes across as heroic at a time like this, when everybody else is cowering.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing called ethical politics. So, Lalu, but ever since I have been seeing him, even I find that if there's one leader who has some ideological leaning, I mean, when it comes to against
consistency.
Consistency, it is Lalu. In 1970s, as Anand say, ABVP, I don't know how much ABVP was relevant in Bihar politics, because at that time, I think Congress was the one which was ruling, all over in Bihar.
What I'm saying that he has taken support from the
so means
BJP.
tactical
he has taken
support is fine, but I think I mean, ever since he has come into the mainstream politics, he was definitely against. Even his partners of that JP movement, I mean, they had come to BJP, but this guy never went to BJP.
What do you think?
Mulayam Singh also hasn't been so, I mean, not to ally, but hasn't been so belligerent against Modi in that sense.
Yeah. Mulayam is always...
In fact, there was that famous
he was
thing
always
also where
Mulayam. He was always Mulayam with BJP.
But I'm guessing it's because you want to retain your kingdom of Bihar, where you have to retain your vote base, and you also have to, BJP is the prime threat. So then it just doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't make sense for Mamata now. Even though she was with Atal Bihari Vajpayee at one point, was with the BJP, it makes no sense for her now to have any sort of reconciliation with BJP, because it directly means ceding space in West Bengal. So it would have meant ceding space in Bihar for him, which he wouldn't want to lose at all.
I do.
And the secular bit is what you're saying, that he stood up for secular values. I don't know.
I think on that, I mean, at least that's what got me thinking, because that's the observation that someone made, that he's uncompromising. He's the only one who's been uncompromising on that. there was this man called something Shukla, who was probably drunk, and he actually urinated on this
Pravesh Shukla
on this Adivasi man, Dasmat Rawat. He is from Karondi. And it's really shocking and heartbreaking. And just the acceptance is the guy's just sitting there like,
It was
what
so
do I do?
disturbing, man. And I think day before yesterday, I just couldn't escape it on Twitter because everyone was sharing that video and it was just ghastly to see it.
Now,
Especially because you're right, like he's just sitting there and he's just flinching a little bit.
but yeah,
like,
he's not really getting up and ripping this guy's head off, because that's just my lot in life. And that's true for a lot of, caste dynamic in India. So Shivraj Singh Chauhan got him to his home, made a photo op of it, and a lot of it is photo op. I mean, you have to send symbolism, optics matter. Washed this guy's feet, gave him a shawl, garlanded him, fed him with his own hand and said, "You are my friend, I'm sorry this happened to you." I think it's a fantastic gesture. Now, I don't know whether it's enough to save Mamu, his government, which is going to the polls later this year, but it's a fantastic gesture. It goes a long way. What leaders do, what leaders say goes a long way. So I was just thinking, what if Mr. Modi invited all the people who've been lynched, their families, home, said, "I'm sorry. I don't expect Mr. Modi to, garland them or feed them biryani because he's vegetarian, as is proudly proclaimed." But can you imagine the message that would go out? I mean, you can't have it both ways. Either you say, "Dude, everything's because of Modi." That means everyone listens to him. So then let him do this. But Modi apologists say, "Arey yaar, Sambit Patra said this, Sarma said this, Yogi said this." They cannot listen to Modi. Either he is that powerful or he is not. He can't be powerful when you decide that everything's happened because of him. Such symbolism makes such a big difference here. Would that, I mean, how do you think, thought experiment, if Modi did that, you think he'd lose his support base? You think he'd be irrelevant, or you think it would strengthen him?
No, I think that none of this was required. I mean, either what the CM had done is absolutely, it's a spectacle. It was just for, this Pravesh Shukla is one of the aides of, of BJP MLA. Okay, he was associated, if not now, earlier he was associated with BJP. BJP says, no, he's no longer with us.
Oh, also they demolished part of his house, which I think was wrong.
That was a bit ridiculous.
That was I mean, we don't know whether it was actually his house.
That's okay. But they demolished her house.
They demolished a shed in front of his house, but whatever. Like
But
his
I
family
think-
need not
I
suffer
think
because what he's
None of this
done.
was required. None of this. See, you need to, build up a confidence among. I mean, this act of the chief minister is not showing that, is not going to bring back confidence, into these tribal people. It's a very long process. If you really want to build.
But you don't think optics matter, sir? I mean, like, just what?
Optics for politics, yes.
No, for society, not just for politics. I mean, like, why do prime ministers or presidents traditionally hold an iftar party at this party? It is to show that, dude, we celebrate all festivals. I mean, even if at home you don't, isn't that the purpose of?
I have always seen it as a political reason. Even when working with other newspapers or even here. So if there is an iftar party, politics is something that comes to your mind, and you go to those iftar parties to find out what is churning out. I'm saying, what is the whole purpose of that is ostensibly to show the country that I celebrate all festivals. No,
isn't that what? And that's why optics. What do you think, Anand? Thought experiment. If Modi did that, would it lose him support, or would it gain him support, or would he become irrelevant because he's no longer the Hindu Hriday Samrat?
I think lynching spawns a very, very different kind of narratives because of the contested claims of cause and effect, what did that, and lynching of various types can be seen on very, very frivolous regions on Indian streets also. So I think to answer your question precisely, it will remain neutral. It will not add to his appeal nor diminish it. I think it will be seen cynically only, even by his supporters.
बस मुफ्त में इतना ही मिलेगा. For the full uncut podcast, Subscribe to Newslaundry and pay to keep news free. The best way to listen to the Hafta and indeed all our podcasts is through the Newslaundry app. You can download the app by clicking on the links given in the show notes. So do download our app and get the best podcast experience. And also pay for news and support a new news media ecosystem that Newslaundry is trying to encourage, where we are accountable to you because we run on contributions that you make. We don't take government ads, we don't take corporations ads, so that news serves the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Subscribe to Newslaundry, click on the link in the show notes below and proudly say, I pay to keep news free.